All right. So the first one, we can try it together. Just print the hello 10 times. Okay, shrink it. Okay. So first, how to repeat a single sentence several times? We can use for loop or we use a while loop. When we use the while loop, we need to initialize a variable first, like the number or the repeat. You can use any name you like. So the repeat, we just created for how many times we need to repeat. So like the repeat equals to 10 or the repeat equals to 0, any numbers you like. If you started with 10, then we just check whether the repeat smaller than 0, right? If it's smaller than 0, which means that it's already repeated 10 times, or smaller or equals to 0. So the first time when we run this sentence here, so here while loop, and we will print HELL. So how does that work? It just means that the first time the repeat equals to 10, and then each time we print the hello, and then we repeat, the variable repeat decreased by 1. So or equals to the repeat minus 1. So that is the first way we can do that. Just we create a variable and check or use the condition, and we will repeat this sentence here until the repeat is smaller than 0. And after we print the hello, we make the repeat decreased by 1. So that is why the first time the repeat equals to 10, and we print the hello, and then we run this sentence, and the repeat becomes to 9. And we check whether the 9, oh, sorry, it's greater than 0. The next time the repeat is 9, and it is still greater than 0. So we will print hello again. And then the repeat will becomes to 8. And then the 8 is still greater than 0, we will print hello again. And this time the repeat will becomes to 7, and 6, and 5, and 4, and 3, 2, 1. But here, when the repeat becomes to 0, it's not meet the condition. That is why we stop here. So how many times we repeat it? 10, 9, 8, 7 until 1. So all together, we repeat it 10 times. Do you get it? So when we run it, the hello, oh, wait a minute. So repeat, a spelling mistake. Sorry about that. Repeat. So you see, when we run it, it will print the hello 10 times. Because the first time the repeat equals to 10. And when we run it, so the first condition is met, and then we print the hello. We print the first hello, and then this time the repeat equals to repeat minus 1, which means that the repeat becomes to 9. And then we check whether the repeat greater than 0. Actually, yes. So that is why we do this, repeat these 2 lines. So print hello again, and the repeat becomes to repeat minus 1. So the repeat becomes to 8. And then the repeat becomes to 7, and 6, and 5, and 4, 3, 2, 1, and until the repeat becomes to 0. This time, we not meet the condition anymore. So that is why we stop here, and we goes down to run the next sentence. There's no more sentence here. So that is why the program just stopped. Do you understand? Jason, Johnson?
Yeah.
All right, so that is the first way to do that. And another way is that we started from 0 instead of 10. So the repeat, we can start it at 0 here. But then we change this condition here. This time, this repeat is increased by 1 and instead of minus 1. So here we just check why the repeat smaller than 10, and we will do something. Can you finish it yourself? The other way. The first way, we started with 10, and each time we decreased by 1. And the second way, we started with 0, and each time we increased by 1. Do you understand? Jason, Yahan, and Johnson?
Yeah.
Okay, you can try that. Numbers equals 0. Yeah, you are correct, but your here I just copy your code. Your code is correct, and it works, but one thing that you don't need that. Okay, oh, there's a lot of space here.
Yeah, because
plain test. Oh, sorry, I'm still not. All right, then I just type it myself. So while the number is smaller than 10 and the number greater equals to 0, and print HELL, and the number becomes to number plus 1. Okay, so here is the thing. We don't need to check we don't need to check this statement anymore. See that? Because the number each time was increased. So the next time will become to 1 and become to 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. So we don't, it is our,
okay.
So we don't need this sentence anymore.
Yeah.
Because it is already greater than 0. So we just need this. So we can just try this and see, it will also work.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. And Jason? Johnson? Do you understand?
Yeah.
All right. So that is the first question. And the second one is that use the for loop to print the numbers from 1 to 5. Here. So how to use the for loop to print the numbers 1 to 5? You can just use the method I told you. You can start it from 1 and use the condition which the number smaller than 6. Or you start it with 5 and each time decreased by 1 and make sure the number is greater than 0. Either way is okay. Do you need some help or you're good? If you not understand or at any part you're confused, you just let me know and I will explain it. Yeah, Yahan, you are correct. Good job. And okay, I will just put the rest part of the homework on the screen as well. Okay. Okay, so that is the next part. You can try this. Yeah, if you finish. Now we are doing this one. The next one is 12, 14, 16, 18 until 20. Okay, let's look at it together, all right? Yeah, Jason and Johnson. So still, the first thing, we just initialize or create a variable. Let me see. Yeah, Jason, you need to send me your code instead of your results because the result I've already tell you, right? The result we want is here, right? And I just need your code. Yeah. Exactly. Good job, Jason. So here we can just create a variable and the name, you can use any name you want. Let me see. Okay. So here you can use the repeat or you use any number you like. So we started from 1. So we initialize the repeat variable with the value 1 here. And the next thing, we can use the while loop. While, yeah, you're correct. While the repeat. So here, the biggest number is 5, which means that it should smaller than 6. So while the repeat smaller than 6, and we will do the things, which are first is print the repeat. And next thing is that we make the repeat increased by 1. Okay, so here there are two things. The first thing is that we create a variable and initialize the value with 1, or assign a value 1 to it. And then we just check when should we stop. We stop by the next number 6. So that is why the condition here is the repeat is smaller than 6. And each time we print the value of repeat, and then we make the repeat variable increase by 1. So if we run that, you will see, wait a minute, still a spelling mistake. Sorry about that. Okay, so here you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How it works, at first it is 1, and 1 smaller than 6, which means that the condition is correct, or we get a true here. While true, we will do the rest part. Print the repeat, which is 1 here. And then the repeat equals to repeat plus 1, which means that the repeat becomes to 2 here after we running this for loop or while loop. And then we check whether the 2 is smaller than 6. And yes, so that is why we get true here. So we will do the rest part. Print the repeat, which here we get a 2. And the repeat becomes to repeat plus 1. So the repeat becomes to 3. And then we check the statements again, because here's the while loop. When here is the true, after we're doing that, it will just back to the front. So here is the circle. When we meet the condition, and the circle will just loop forever. Okay, and now the variable is the repeat is 3. 3 is still smaller than 6, so that is why we print the 3, and the repeat becomes to 4. And next, still 4 smaller than 6, so we print the 4, and the repeat becomes to 5. And the next thing, the repeat equals to 5. 5 smaller than 6, which is 2. So that is why we print the 5, and the repeat becomes to 6. Now be careful. So 6 smaller than 6 is not correct, which means that here we get a false. When we get a false, and we will break the loop, and we'll go into the next sentence. And there's no more sentence here. That is why we stop the program is stopped, or we exit the program, and we will only get this output 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But actually, the value inside the repeat variable here is 6. Are you clear? Yahan? Jason? Yahan, you're asking, clear. Jason and Johnson. All right, so that is the second one. And the third one, we use the while loop to print the numbers from 12, 14, 16, 18 until 20. So this time we started with 12 instead, and we ended by 21. So you can just change your code. And this time the step is not 1 anymore. So you need to change the numbers here as well. You need to change the condition here, and you need to change the values here. All right, I give you 2 minutes to try it yourself and send your code after that.
Oh, sir, which question are we doing now?
Here, this one.
Oh, okay.
We've already finished the first one, right? So now we are looking to the next one. Have you finished? Jason and Johnson? If you need some help, just tell me, all right? And if you have any errors, you can just share the screen and we can discuss it. It is okay that you have any errors, right?
Sir.
How
Yeah.
do you disable participant screen sharing?
Now you can share the screen. And if you want to share, just tell me and I will stop sharing here. And Johnson, what is your question?
I got nothing. I don't know why.
Have you used the print function?
Yeah.
Would you like to share the screen?
I can't.
Oh, how about send your code or share the links here?
Okay.
You can share the links
try.
here. Yeah. That is the way that Jahan find out, and it is really useful.
Oh, I know. I forgot to put the bracket.
All right, I get it. So here, because here we are using Python 3, and if it is Python 2, the older version, then you don't need the bracket. But the Python 3, we need the bracket. So that is why we use the bracket here. And the Python 3 can have more function. So that is why we use Python 3 instead of Python 2. All right, so here we started from 12 and ended by 21. So here we smaller than 21. And the next value we need to change is that each time is increased by 2 instead of 1. So here we plus 2. And then we will get the answer. See? 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. We just make sure what we started was and what we ended by in the step. So these three values, just like the for loop. Remember how to write the for loop? We just use for I in range. Here, the three value just here, 12, 21, and 2. See that? 12, 21, and 2. So the input value are actually the same. Just the difference is that how we write it. If we use the for loop, we just put the 3 numbers here. So that is why the for loop is sometimes more popular, because it just put the 3 values in the same function, and then of course it will be, the code will be shorter. And if you use the while loop, you need to first initialize and use the condition and use the step. So write the 3 lines yourself, and the for loop it's already writing for you. Actually, what it really do is just to initialize the repeat or initialize the I with 12, and each time it increased by 2 and check whether it is smaller than 21. These two actually do the same, exactly the same job, but just use the different ways, or the expression are different, but the computer, they will do the same thing. Are you clear, Jason and Johnson?
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, so that is for the second one. And how about the third one? We need the numbers from 4, 8 until 61. So this time we just need to change the 3 values, right? The started with, and what is the condition, which is the range or smaller than one number, and then what is the step. If you knew the three values, then you can just write your code easily. You can just modify your code and try to make the output equals to here 4, 12, 4, 8, 12, and so on. If you finish, still you can send me your code or share the link. Either way is okay. So now we are focusing on this one. And yeah, if you finish, you can try the last one.
Yeah.
We discussed that we use the for loop, and we have already finished that yesterday. But this time we try to use the while loop instead. Have you finished? Or do you need some help? Or just need some more time? Jason? How is your work? How is it going? Is it okay? And Johnson?
Sir, I'm still doing.
Okay. How about you, Jason? Yeah, Jason, what is your, do you have any questions?
Sir, I can't get the answer.
Okay, would you like to send me your code or just send me the link? And I will check that. Which part is, we can fix that.
Well, I think
You can just here, send the link here.
I'll just copy it.
Yeah, and then you just copy it and here, you see, copy the HTTP and I will get.
I'm not sure how to do the last one with while.
Do the last one with while. Okay. We will discuss that. So first, how about if we don't, there's no limitations, which means that the first thing is that we don't consider about the divisible things. We just use the for loop to print all the numbers in the range 0 to 100. You can do that first. Okay, Yahan? And based on that, we can do the rest part. Are you clear?
Oh, okay, so I'll send that to you.
Yeah, okay. And here you see when you run it, it will already tells you which part is not correct. See that? So in the for loop, there should be a colon and it says invalid syntax, which means that you're missing something, right? Or the computer will not recognize that. So that is why you need to use the colon. Do you get it, Johnson? Johnson, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so if we use the colon and then it will work. But still, the question requires us to, let me see, requires us to print the numbers from 4, 12 until 40, until 60. Here, this is the question. And then the for loop here is correct, but how to use the while loop? The while loop, you see, we print repeat, but smaller than 64. Yes, you are correct. The start position, you are correct as well. But this time, each time we increased by 4. See that, Johnson?
Yeah.
So that is why here, repeat equals to the repeat plus 4. For example, at first it is 4, right? And 4 plus 4 becomes to 8. And then 8 is assigned to the variable here. So the repeat becomes to 8 instead, not 4 anymore. And if the next time the repeat becomes to 8, and 8 plus 4 we get 12. So the repeat will becomes to 12 next time, and then 16, and then 20. So that is how we just increase it by a step.
Okay.
So here it is increased by 4. So here we plus 4 here. And then now we will get from 4a.
Okay.
So most of the part is you are correct, but just the step. So remember we used the for loop. There were 3 input. What's the first number and what is the number before or that we ended by? Here is 61. And what is the step? So here we just need to use that 4 numbers independently. There's no for loop, right? So when you use the while loop, you first thing you initialize the variable here. In the for loop, it already initialized for you. And second is that you just tell the computer what is the range, just like the numbers here, 61. So here you use 62, both of them are okay. And then the next thing is that the step. In the for loop, it's just the third variable. And in the while loop, we just define it here. The repeat becomes to repeat plus 1, plus 4.
Okay.
All right, let's have a short break, and I will show you how the last one is doing, and we'll discuss that after the break time. All right. Here's the last question. And so how to do that? Still, we just first, regardless, or just use, first ignore about the condition, which means that we just iterate the numbers from 0 to 100. So while the numbers is smaller than 101, we can print the number and make the number increase by 1. Okay, so that is the basic part. And then the next thing we need to do is just add an if statement here. Just means only when meet the condition, then we will print the number. And here is that divisible by 3. Divisible by 3 means that %3 equals to 0. And another condition is that not divisible by 5, which means that numbers %5 not equals to 0. Two conditions, we just translate it into the Python language, and then it will work. All right, we will discuss that in detail next time, after break time. All right, let's back to class. Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
The screen is whitened.
Okay, obviously this was done by you, right? Okay, so here, how to solve that? So the first thing I just said, we ignore about the requirements. So divisible by 3, but not divisible by 5. That is just the additional requirement. So we can first ignore that. If we ignore that, we iterate each number from 0 to 100. We started with 0 and we ended by 101. And we print number and we increase the number by 1 each time. So we will get numbers here. See that? And the next thing is that we use the if statement just to find out when the number is required, because here not all the numbers is what we want. We only need the numbers divisible by 3 and not divisible by 5. So the first thing, the numbers %3 equals to 0, which means that the number divided by 3, the remainder here is 0, which just also means that divisible by 3. And not divisible by 5, which means that the number %5, the remainder after divided by 5, not equal to 0. So here, two statements, and if we meet the two statement or two condition, and then we just print the numbers. Otherwise, we do nothing. So that is how we just use the if clause or combine the if clause with the while. And we run that, you see the numbers can be divisible by 3, but none of them can be divisible by 5. You see, 15 is skipped. At first, there should be 15, but 15 can be divisible by 5. So that is why we just skip it. And do you understand? Yahan, Jason, Johnson?
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand.
Great. All right. So that is how we combine the for loop, because only we use if we just use the for loop only or the while loop only, it is not very useful. But if we just combine it with the if condition, and then we will check whether each numbers we iterate here meets the condition or not. That is very useful. All right, and the last one, use for loop to solve the question. Here's the number. If the number divisible by 3, so that is just the basic, the remainder problem. Have you heard about that? And here is also that in Chinese, there's a very old, it is also an ancient problem. In Chinese, it means that 三三数之于二，五五数之于三，七七数之于二。Just means that the number divided by 3, the remainder is 2. And the number divided by 5, and the remainder is 3. And the number divided by 7, and the remainder is 2. So how to do that? Still, first, we can give a range of this number. Here, there's no range limit, but we can manually set the range limit to 1,000 and see whether we can find such number. And the first thing is that the number divided by 3 equals to 2, which means that the number %3 should equals to 2. So that is the first condition. And the second condition is that the number divided by 5 equals to 3. The number %5 should equals to 3. And the last condition, the number divided by 7, the remainder is 2, which means that the number %7, the remainder is 2. And if we ignore this condition here, the if statement here, which just we iterate each number from 0 to 1,000. And if we put this statement here, which means that to find out the number meets the 3 requirements, which means that the number should divided by 3 equals 2, divided by 5, and the remainder is 3, and divided by 7, the remainder is 2. Do you understand?
Sir, could I go to toilet?
Yeah, of course. And Jason, Yahan?
Does the wait, so like, is the number like infinite, or like does it have to be under 1001?
It can be infinite, but here, since that's the question is not declared, there's no restriction, right? So you can use any numbers you like. Just you can find any numbers or the best thing is that find out the smallest number.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, so that is why here we can manually give them the limit here, but actually you can just make the limit into a very huge number.
Yeah.
Okay, you can try that. Just to combine the for loop. The for loop will just iterate each numbers from 1 to 1,000. And we use the if statement to check whether each number meets the requirement or not. If yes, we will print that number. If no, we will just continue to check the next one. Still, if you finish that, you can send me your code or share the link. And Jason, Johnson, how about your coding?
Sir, what do you do now?
Hmm?
I just came back.
Okay, so here we are to discuss this problem. So find a number, the number divided by 3, the remainder is 2. We just use this to check the number divided by 3, the remainder is 2. And then the number divided by 5, the remainder is 3. And here is the statement. And the number divided by 7, the remainder is 2. See that? And
Okay.
find out the number and meet the 3 requirements.
Okay.
Okay, right. And wow, yeah, the number is really, you just use a really big restriction. Yes. And do you find out any result, Yahan? Or would you like to send me the smallest number? What you found?
Sure. I'll send you my smallest number and my biggest number.
Okay.
Oh wait, never mind. I put too many zeros in my actual code than that.
Yeah,
I
exactly. So you don't need too many zeros, right? You
Yeah.
can just find out the biggest number within 1,000. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, you are correct. Good job. And how about you, Jason? Any questions? Jason, can you hear me? Are you clear what we are doing?
I'm still doing it.
Okay, no problem, right? Or no questions? If you have any questions, you need to tell me and we can discuss that. All right? And okay, we can do it together. Not enough time. So here, the first thing is that we iterate each number from 0 to 1,000. So if there's no restriction here, and we will just get while loop, while number smaller than 1,000, and each time the number was just equals to number plus 1. We will iterate all the numbers. Oh, sorry, here we forgot the print. We will iterate all the numbers from 0 to 1,000. Yeah, Jason, you are correct. Good job. And then we insert the restriction or insert if clause, which means that only when the number meets the requirement, then we print that. Otherwise, we don't print that. So the first is that the number %3 equals 2. And second is that the number %5 equals to 3. And the third is that number %7 equals to 2. If meet the 3 condition, then we print the number. And the number which is iterated from here, right? All these numbers from 0 to 1,000. And after running that, wait a minute. So here number, which means percentage, or maybe just. So here we need 2 equal sign. Remember, 1 equal sign just assignment. 2 equal sign is the compare ratio. So here 2 equal sign, and then we will get from 23 first, and then 128, and all these numbers meet the requirement. Are you clear? And actually, we can find out the pattern, which means that the difference is 105, which is just the multiple or comes from 3 times 7, 3 times 5 times 2. 5 times, wait a minute, 3, 5, and 7, 3, 5, and 7, right? 3, 5, and 7, and you get, and the difference between the neighbors is 105. So that is why we just need to find out the first one. And the next one, or the rest of them, we can just write it as 23 plus 105x, or n, as you like. Because 105 can be divisible by 3, and can be divisible by 5, and can be divisible by 7. So no matter how many 105s we add, it always meets the requirement. Okay, we will discuss that later. So here is that how we use the for loop. We use the while loop with the if condition. And can you try to turn it into for loop? Just here, instead of using while loop, would you like to try to use for loop instead? Any idea? Still, the first thing is that you just iterate each number, just for I in range 1,000. And then you can print I, right? So this means that you will iterate the number I from 0 to 1,000. And next thing is that, oh, here we can use the something. Next thing is that we use the if statement here inside the for loop. Do you understand, Jason, Johnson, and Yahan?
Yeah.
Okay, you can try that yourself. So 2 ways. We can use while loop and we can use for loop. The for loop, it looks easier because we just need less lines. Do you need some help, Jason, Johnson, and Yahan? Or you are clear about it, just need some time?
Sir,
Yep.
I'm not actually very clear.
All right, so here, first thing, we iterate each numbers here. That is clear, right?
Yeah.
And then here, we print each number, but actually we don't need to print each number here. We need to check whether this number meets the requirement. And if it meets the requirement, then we print it. And if not, we not print it. So that is why before the print lines or before the print operation, we use the if statement. Only when the I meets some condition like %3 equals to 2, then we print the I. Yeah, so here you can also use the numbers as well.
Okay.
And you can insert or use more conditions instead of 1. So here still we need to use 2 equal sign instead of 1.
Oh, okay.
Okay, you can try to change your code. Yeah, Yahan, you are correct. Good job. And how about you, Jason? I can see nothing. You sent me something, but actually I can't see. It is embedded. Okay, let me see. Number order. Okay. What do you mean, Jason? I don't understand. All right, let's do it together. So first thing, it needs the number %3 equals to 2, which means that after divided by 3, the remainder is 2. That is the first sentence, just exactly here. And the second is that the number %5 equals 3, which means that divided by 5, the remainder is 3. And the last condition is that % or divided by 7, the remainder is 2. So we just copy exactly the 3 conditions here and put it here. And then we will get exactly the same like the previous one. See that? No matter you use the while loop or the for loop, you can just insert a if statement between that or inside it. So inside it, and first we iterate the number. The number actually just the first 0 and then 1 and then 2 and so on. And then we use the if statement to check whether each of the number meets the requirement. If meets the requirement, then we print the number. Otherwise, we don't print it. So that is why we only get these numbers instead. Are you clear? Jason? And Johnson?
Yeah.
Jason, are you clear? Can you hear me, Jason? All right, so that is the end of the class. We just discussed about how to use or combine the if statement with the for or the while. So this is more useful because we first iterate the numbers, or instead of numbers, we can iterate other things as well. We may discuss in the future, but here we just iterate the numbers and then we check each number meet the condition or not. If meet the condition, then we print it. Otherwise, we do nothing. So here, that is how we use it. All right, so the homework, I will just leave some homework like this. All right. Try
Okay.
to use 2 ways. Not only the for loop, you can use the while loop as well. Use 2 ways and try to find out, solve the questions. All right, so that is the end of the class. See you tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. Bye.